So, really great to be back in Portland. I used to live here, bought our first house here. My twins were born here. Of course, they have food allergies. Then we moved to Spokane. The one thing you need to know about Spokane, not Tacoma, the one thing you need to know about Spokane is that at Christmas, the general store sign read, biggest toy selection, huge ammo sale. Not 2 months since the election, and they had already made Spokane great again. People like to punch down in Spokane, but it's a can-do town. But I'm glad to be back in Portland. Last time I was in Portland, I was a medical resident. And now, I'm a real doctor. Dr. Manriquez. Dr. Manriquez. Dr. Man, if you're into the whole brevity thing. The doctor that kills. But Dr. Manriquez is actually my mother's name. You can call me Luis. Settle down, settle down. No one cares about the patriarchy. Not 3 days before the coronation of King Trump. George Washington once said, "These are the times that try men's lives." I wonder what he would do if he was here today, besides wanting to own slaves. Grandpa, can you tell us the story again of what you did the last weekend of democracy? Well, we went to a comedy show. All that is required for evil to triumph is for good people to watch comedy. But thank you for coming out. I really appreciate your poor choices. So, a hard truth for my liberal and progressive friends. It's time to stop crying. This is America. We can't go to pieces every time a convicted rapist takes over. Stop crying. Don't agonize. Organize. Have a plan. Here's mine. Telling people I'm from Costa Rica. It'll come as a surprise to some to hear I'm from Costa Rica, my parents for one. They always thought we were Mexican, but I don't want to be deported there. Do you know how bad things are in Mexico? In Mexico, they did something that we would never do in this country. Elect a woman president. A climate scientist, no less. What a shithole. But I'll admit I have been anxious since the election. We had friends over for New Year's, and we had a good cry. Then we got to talking, came up with a little project. We're thinking of calling it Project 2025. We decided what were the situations that would let us know that it was time to flee the country. You gotta think about it, you gotta have a plan, because you don't wanna flee too soon, but you definitely don't wanna flee too late. So what would make you flee the country? National abortion ban? I'm a doctor. I already know how to do the thing. I'm like a locksmith. I'm not worried about getting locked out of a uterus. Mass shootings? Each one is a tragedy, and it pains me to say it, but that's just Tuesday in America. Mass shootings are just Tuesday in America. What a shithole! What if the government started shooting protesters? That could do it. But it's a big decision, so how many protesters are we talking? White or black? It's 10 white, 50 black, 40 Mexican, 20 Asian. That's the All Lives Matter exchange rate. Don't get mad at me. I didn't come up with this. I'm a light-skinned Costa Rican. They just don't notice me sitting in the back of the room, so sometimes I can listen in. And sometimes I have to pretend I like Paul Simon. But I do want to understand. I think it's important to understand. I wish someone here could help us understand. You, sir, you look terminally white. Can you explain the All Lives Matter exchange rate? And don't try to land acknowledge your way out of this one. Scary times. But then I remember that Donald Trump is just a person. He's just a person like all of us, trying to find our way in this crazy, messed up world in the short time that we're given. And when I think about that, an idea took root. A glimmer of hope spread through me until I was bathed in the light of a righteous truth. And I'm here to share with my people the hope that has been sustaining me. All the people who know this country is better than what Donald Trump has to offer. So raise a glass. Are you ready to hear the good news? May you be secure in the knowledge that no matter how bad it gets, no matter how dark the night, the sun also rises. And one day, in the warmth of that life-sustaining light, we will dance on his grave. To his death. And don't misunderstand me. I don't want anyone to kill Donald Trump. That would be wrong. I'm a doctor. If he came into my hospital, I would do everything I could to save his life. Because as a doctor, I know how precious and fragile life can be. I've pulled people back from the edge. It's a sacred thing. You know, we have this amazing medical technology. Sometimes doctors even get accused of playing God. But I need you to understand this. Doctors don't play God. Okay, doctors devote our entire lives. We take an oath to protect you from God. And someday soon, the good Lord, in his divine mystery, will see fit to turn out the light behind Donald Trump's eyes. And we won't be able to save him. And I just think that's neat. But, I do wonder about the future. I look at my kids, so young, full of promise. I think we'll be okay. Actually, when I think about them, I know that in the coming war of all against all, they'll be fine because they're apex predators. They're tough kids. When we were 3, their mother left us for the weekend. I got up in the morning. It was quiet. Too quiet. I ran into the living room. My son Javi was sitting there. Can we have ice cream for breakfast, Mom? I mean, Dad? Well, honey, we don't usually have dessert for breakfast, so maybe, and that's when I saw her, out of the corner of my eyes. Twins hunt in pairs, you see. Clever girl. And as I turned, she pounced. The last thing I remember was her swinging a pillow and yelling, "Crack his egg!" They're apex predators hunting for eggs. And when I came to, they had just finished their ice cream. They looked at each other and chuckled. Well, if it isn't old Mr. Not Mom. So that night, I was putting them down to bed. Frances popped out of bed, looking for her mom. Frances, I know you miss your mother, but she'll be back tomorrow. And she walked right past me, down the stairs, and out the front door. Frances, if you walk out that door, I'm gonna have to carry you back in. So I'm carrying this squirming toddler up the stairs, and I look at her and she's got fury in her eyes, but our eyes meet. And we make a connection. Time stops. The heavens part. My wife, Sarah, descends on a clamshell, her red hair blowing in the breeze. She whispers softly in my ear, remember, your kids aren't giving you a hard time. They're having a hard time. And I look at Frances, her scrunched up little face, tears welling in the corner of her eyes, and I just soften. Time starts again. She catches me right in the jaw. Dad, when I get older, I'm gonna learn how to kill you. Honey, there's nothing you can't do. And I mean it. In our household, a promise made is a promise kept. But it is hard to raise kids. I think what's so hard about raising kids is that the qualities that make for successful adults make for difficult children. Take J.D. Vance, for example. Incoming vice president, screeching rat muppet to Trump's Jabba the Hutt. But also confident, hardworking, obstinate even, a successful man. Do you think his parents loved dealing with him as a toddler? Throwing tantrums, kicking his little legs, and screaming about cat ladies? No. Nobody has ever loved J.D. Vance, or ever will. But I love my kids. So why is it that I feel like I spend so much time fighting with them about sitting down to eat dinner and using silverware? I'm a street medicine doctor. Do you understand? What that means is that part of my day job, just a day in the office, is bringing dead people back to life after an overdose. So why is the most stressful part of my job, why is the most stressful part of my day sitting down to eat dinner and trying to use a fork? And my kids will fight any fight. It's that fiery Costa Rican blood. One thing I've learned as a parent is that I'm gonna die on one of these hills. Probably sunscreen. But I'm glad my kids have fight. I think we all could use some. I think we're gonna need it going forward. And I try to be a good person, I do. But I was a man raised in the 80s and 90s. You know, I used to play Smear the Queer. I didn't know anything about being queer except I needed to be smeared. Who were our role models in the movies and television? Conan the Barbarian, Revenge of the Nerds. Has anyone seen these things recently? We used to call Bill Cosby America's dad. That garbage is baked in. It's baked in deep. And so sometimes, when I'm listening to my kids complain about wanting to have ice cream for breakfast, or I'm having to apologize to someone at work for making them feel bad, for asking them to do work at work, sometimes I get this feeling, I can feel it deep down and I don't like it, but I feel like I need to make America great again. Give in to your anger, okay? Give in to it. With each passing moment, you become more my servant. Lying Princess Leia can't save you now. And some people are saying this is the greatest impression in the history of the country. But I want to tell my fellow gentle parents, gentle Portlanders, don't put up with that bullshit. Don't try to understand his truth. To all the men in the room, that entitled, racist, sexist asshole inside all of us needs to die, God willing, so that something better can take its place. It's good. Take the old growth forest, for example. Trees that are older than this country. Well, 90% of them are nursery log. Excuse me. Sorry. Do you know what a nursery log is? A nursery log is a tree that grows from a dead stump. The new literally grows from excuse me. The new literally grows from what the old surrenders to it. And so oh my God. I think somebody put something in my drink. Putin? Cosby? Francis. Clever girl. Francis, I'm so proud